everyone, InfiniteCaz here, and welcome to another video. Today, I'm going to be discussing why Manta Maria is my favourite map in Splatoon 2. Excluding Splatfest stages, there are 23 maps in total, and they all have their ups and downs. I've previously talked about what I consider to be the weakest ones in competitive, but now I want to focus on the one I enjoy playing on the most. Designing a good stage is tricky, but I believe that the Splatoon 2 devs got it just right with Manta Maria, at least in my personal opinion. With that being said, please like and subscribe as it really helps me out, and let's get right into it. Manta Maria was released on the 26th of August 2017, making it the first map to be added after Splatoon 2's release. It's set on a docked ship and is a good size, with 2,356 points of inkable turf across the whole map. Like most other maps, it's completely symmetrical and has a decent sized mid with several ways to approach it. The overall map is in a more rectangular shape and is decently narrow, but nowhere near to the extremes of somewhere like Walleye Warehouse. I'm going to go through why I love this map in 3 sections, that being aesthetics, overall gameplay and consistency. All 3 of these are important, but some more than others depending on how you play the game. For example, Skipper Pavilion is a beautiful map, but because of its unconventional design, it can be unfair in a more competitive environment. While a great comp map like Anchovy Games is not the most visually appealing. I believe Manta Maria hits all 3 of these points, and is a map that anyone can enjoy. So first of all, let's talk about Manta Maria's visual design. This is much more personal taste, but I love the theming of Manta. It's very recognisable, and it uses the concept of being a boat very cleverly throughout the map. For starters, the poles in mid and near spawn are the ship masts. There is an incredible amount of outer bounds detail, akin to other maps in the game. There are lifeboats hanging from the sides, yachts sailing in the distance, as well as a drilling ship, Chiku, which is modelled after the real-life boat of the same name. In addition, a harbour with the city in the background and jellyfish going about their day all make the theming on point. Manta Maria feels very natural in its placement, and you don't feel secluded from the world or trapped inside. The ocean being out of bounds makes perfect sense, and allows the map to open up with rails on the border, making it feel light and airy as a plus. The lighting is very well done, and even unpainted it's very bright and the attention to detail is amazing. The life rings, cabin doors and windows all help sell the idea that you're on a real ship, while still keeping the feeling of Splatoon. The ship itself is based off the Santa Maria, which was used by Christopher Columbus, and being a bit of a history buff, that detail was awesome to hear. Aesthetics are all personal preference, but I have a soft spot for the theming of Manta Maria, and think the execution represents the idea perfectly. When playing this map normally, there are many details you miss, and walking through it alone really helped me appreciate how much the map designers focus on details to sell that immersion. I can almost feel the sea breeze when standing alone on it, and having been stuck inside for the past several months, it's a good feeling. No matter how amazing a map looks, what's the point if it's poorly designed? Morve Towers is an easy target here. The map has a great theme and looks very appealing, but it's just not fun to play on in most cases. Manta, on the other hand, hits the sweet spot in many crucial areas, first being size. If a map is too big or small, it can decrease how enjoyable it is to play on. Morve Towers and Piranha Pit have too much vertical height and surface area respectively, and on maps like Aruana Mall, travelling back into mid takes way too long. It's also not too narrow, as certain strats have a distinct advantage on longer maps, such as Stingray on Walleye Warehouse. Manta has a nice range of vantage points on flat ground, and as a backline, I feel like I can easily position myself wherever the focus of the game is. The whole map is easily accessible without making it too easy to flank. Depending on the mode, some routes can be easily accessed, and without some extra inkable walls in specific modes, flank heavy weapons have no issue pulling off a sneak attack if they are skilled enough. The most common flank spot is through cut and onto bunker, but is easily spotted if you know where your opponents are or have excellent game awareness. The vast majority of pushes go through street, which is decently narrow, but in my opinion a fine choke point. It's easy enough to pressure from the defence side, but not too hard when attacking that you will next to never push through, especially if you have control of bunker and someone has pushed up to deal with any potential lurkers. The 3 open areas of the map, that being mid and the 2 pits on either side, all have a pole in the middle of them, providing basic cover and helping to split the area up, which stops longer ranged weapons having a huge advantage in these places. I enjoy when the fight is in neutral, as the middle of the map isn't too fancy but has a couple of platforms and obstacles that help you gain the upper hand with coordination of a well executed play. The 2 bunkers are joined by grates that enable you to easily traverse to the opposing side without map control, at the cost of being vulnerable for a brief period. And while grates benefit weapons such as splatlings and sloshers, they are low enough to the ground that most of the roster can contest somebody on them, and their central position means to stay there, you need great awareness to avoid being picked. I never feel like one type of weapon has a huge advantage, and with the exception of clams, the game never gets too hung up in mid. You are always switching positions and moving about when playing on Manta, and the map encourages an aggressive, quick-paced playstyle, which makes it more enjoyable in my opinion. Like any map, there are some strategies that favour well, bubbles through street as an example, but nothing that feels particularly unfair, at least from my experience as an anchor. Games tend to last a decent amount of time, never feeling like a knockout is too easy. But if you have a significant advantage and a great coordinated push, it's not too difficult to win in a short space of time. This helps as mid is easy to aggress due to perch on the far left, as well as your bunker's accessibility, although I don't find defending particularly daunting. The map certainly narrows the closer you go to spawn, but it becomes tougher the deeper behind enemy lines you traverse. The map doesn't feel overdone obstacles wise, but instead incorporates some ship layout basics to create a lot of varied fighting areas, no matter where the objective is. I know some people don't like fighting on Manta, and it can seem unfair when fighting a team that knows how to utilise the ship's layout to their advantage, but I think it's up there as one of the great simple, yet fair maps in casual and competitive play alike. Lastly, let's talk about how great Manta Maria is across all game modes. Some maps are at a major disadvantage in specific rank modes due to variances in the layout and how the objective is incorporated. The biggest change up between objectives is certainly Piranha Pit Rainmaker, and it's almost a different map with the heavy changes that were implemented, although they were welcome ones for sure. Manta changes very little from mode to mode, with the main exception being the mid in Rainmaker and tower control, as the post is replaced with the objective. This makes mid easier to traverse, but apart from that, not much differs. Turf War was great, not much to say here as the objective is the whole map, but I like how mid is accessible and the map isn't too small to lose off a single wipe in the last minute. In Splat zones, there is one zone on either side of mid, but unlike many double zone games, it's easier to keep them capped in your favour, and they are a decent enough size to allow some paint of them before neutralising. There are no changes in the map layout though, a plus in my opinion. In tower control, the objective passes through 3 checkpoints as it makes its way through street and down into pit. Like a good map should, it gets increasingly harder to push the tower the further you go into your enemy's base. The main choke point is in street, at the far corner just to the right of spawn. You usually need a wipe of a well-timed special to break it, as it's not too far from spawn and can be approached from more than one side. Tower on Manta is fast-paced, and you will often be making smaller pushes, taking every opportunity you can to score some points. Flanks are very common and forces you to keep on your toes for sure. If that's an advantage or not, it's up to you, but I enjoy it. Rainmaker is probably my favourite mode on Manta, as its pace reflects the map design. I enjoy a hectic game of Rainmaker that still allows backliners to be effective, and Manta Maria is sure great for that. There are several ways to push the Rainmaker, and like other good maps, they are varied with their risk and reward. If you are skilled with the Rainmaker, it's easy to use the terrain to your advantage, and because parts of the map can get tight, it's important to understand how to approach the objective safely. The pedestal is far enough away that if a wipe happens, you can still regroup and defend in time, and the path certainly gets tough the nearer you get to the goal, which is just outside spawn. Because most places on Manta Maria are easily accessible, it discourages camping the Rainmaker, a strat I don't see too often, but find it so annoying when I encounter it. Lastly, Clan Blitz. Manta Maria came out before the mode was implemented in Splatoon 2, but it's still a fun map on this mode. I find the basket to be in a good spot, nicely tucked away, but still accessible enough with coordination. Sometimes the middle of the map can get cluttered around the main mast, and like zones, the two pits are not seen much over the course of the game due to the position of the objective. I find clams a tad awkward to play on occasionally, but that's often the case for maps, so it's not an issue in my opinion. I would be interested to know if you feel differently to me, mind you, so let me know if you have had issues with Manta that I don't necessarily experience. To wrap things up, why is Manta Maria my favourite Splatoon 2 map? While it may not be the perfect competitive map, I personally enjoy playing on it the most. I find it fast-paced, fun, intense to fight on, and the superb theming and atmosphere puts it on top. Am I saying it's objectively the best map in the game? No, of course not. Everyone has a different set of reasons for their favourite, and each map has its ups and downs depending on who you are. So instead of throwing any untruths out there, I decided to base this subject on my personal opinion and nothing more. Thanks for watching until the end, and I hope you enjoyed. What's your favourite Splatoon map? Be sure to let me know. With that being said, please like and subscribe as it really helps me out, and I will see you all soon. Bye!